This is Open Mic Night of the Living Dead, and this is our encore episode for Friday the 13th.
The creature's creeping right behind you. I hope you finally find a little slice of peace and light. 'Cause it comes crashing down tonight. Welcome to the open mic. When we call your name, you'll die. But there's no need to dread. This is the open mic night of the living dead.
All right. I never get tired of doing the mamas.
I never get tired of hearing you do them.
I bet. That seems untrue.
No, I mean, look, if I was going to be tired of your sound effects and or improvised songs, I think it would have happened a long time ago and not now.
I guess. Unless you have a high tolerance for crap.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that I do.
Fair. So last episode, we did our deep dive on Friday the 13th.
Yes, indeed.
A little bit past the season, as it was a summer camp kind of movie. However, it's still a lot of fun. There's still a lot of fall leaves in there, I think, from when they shot. So it feels still timely.
It felt like fall.
Guess what's this week?
What is this week?
Thanksgiving.
No way.
Have you ever heard of it?
I believe I may have one time at a party.
Are we even allowed to talk about Thanksgiving anymore, or is that a cancelable offense?
No, I think that we can, even though originally it was portrayed differently than it is now. I think now we can still appreciate a holiday where we give thanks for what we have while also acknowledging our messy history.
What is your favorite Thanksgiving meal staple food?
Oh, dude, I'm a big combo person. It's the whole deal. I think, but maybe all right. First response, gut instinct is stuffing, which is unfortunate because I am currently gluten-free and it's not quite the same.
You heard it here, everyone. The misery I'm living through.
Yeah, hold on. Don't even let him, because he gets his gluten-y goodness. I make two versions of things.
That's not always true.
All right, but I haven't made you have like the gluten-free buns or bread. Like you still have your glutinous bread all over the place.
That's right. I take it to bed with me. Glutinous bread in bed is best, is what I always say.
I bet we could do a pretty good horror movie about a husband who slowly kills his wife with gluten.
I'm sure it's been done.
The movie or the murder?
Both.
Nice.
There's probably the murder, and then somebody made a screenplay about it, an adaptation of the true life events.
Like, what about like a Hallmark movie?
Or Lifetime, you mean? I feel like it's more of a Lifetime.
More Lifetime, yeah, because it's more negative. Hallmark kind of spins the positive. Which
I guess Hallmark's on Lifetime, but I'm thinking more like a Lifetime after school movie.
I got you. I'm thinking for some reason like a 90s kind of couple, and like Lori Loughlin plays the wife for some reason. I don't know who plays the dad.
Stamos?
I mean, that's too easy. That's a gimme. You got to give me someone else. But you know, like he's just eating bread on the couch and just leaving crumbs, and then he comes and like hugs her, but then like kind of pushes her face into the pillow or something.
Just blows bread crumbs in her face while she's sleeping.
Yes. Oh.
Well, I also like stuffing.
I'm imagining like. Actually, now I'm gonna imagine you doing it, but like just a pile of breadcrumbs in the palm of your hand with like a straw, and me sleeping in the bed and just like a puff.
I don't know if I don't think I would use a straw, and they would probably like all stick to your face and stuff.
I'm not deathly allergic to gluten, by the way. I know some people are. It would not kill me to have a bunch of gluten blown in my face, but if I ate some of those crumbs, I would feel pretty sick for a while if you did it like a few nights in a row.
That's why I mix in some arsenic. Yeah, so I also like stuffing. But specifically, my mom does like a sausage cornbread stuffing that's really good.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving dinner is not my favorite. I don't have any. I guess I like all the sides. As you know from my cooking video that we did a couple weeks back, I certainly enjoy a turkey sandwich, but turkey on its own, I don't know.
Okay, here's the question.
It's really hit or miss for me.
I like turkey a lot, but if you had to choose, like when it's Thanksgiving week, are you going to make your turkey sandwich with roast turkey or are you going to use your deli turkey like per usual? I feel like that texture would be a big change to your sandwich.
I don't know.
Oh, we'll have to find out.
I'll do those turkey sandwiches from time to time with the real turkey.
Yeah.
But still not preferred. But I like it. I'll toast the bread and some I like putting a bunch of the toppings, like the sides on it.
Yeah, like
a Thanksgiving sandwich.
Oh, yeah. Thanksgiving sandwich, totally down. I'm glad we found some gluten-free bread that's pretty tasty, so I can do that this year. Do you remember the first Thanksgiving we went to your house and your mom knew I was gluten-free and we'd just been dating for a short time. And so she made everything gluten-free for me, which was so kind. But then she made a pecan pie. And at that point in time, I was allergic to nuts and could not eat the pecan pie. Or was it like an almond? She made everything. It was something
crazier than that. It had like, first of all, I feel like it was much bigger than a standard pie. Like it was circumference.
It was really big.
And the whole top of it was like crushed nuts.
So many nuts.
Like from side to side.
And again, I don't have a deathly allergy to nuts, but at times in my life, because of my immune system, I have been unable to eat nuts without having a reaction. Not anaphylactic, but just made it very uncomfortable. So I didn't eat nuts for a really long time, but no one had told her that. And so she was trying so hard and so sweetly to make everything gluten-free that she made something I couldn't eat. And I think that whole thing just like went in the trash. Like, I don't think anybody ate it. I feel so bad. But I can eat nuts again now.
Yay.
For whatever reason. So maybe she'll make it this year.
We'll find out tomorrow.
I know.
And Thanksgiving, trying to bring it back around to what this show's about, which is not about the horrors of your dietary restrictions, but horror movies. And there are not a ton of Thanksgiving-centric horror movies. There are a few, and then there's even more that might include Thanksgiving somewhere within them. But really, in terms of Thanksgiving horror movies, you've got like the two Thankskilling movies.
Ugh.
You say that now, I feel like we should rewatch it.
I just remember, when did we watch Thankskilling? It must have been...
I feel like it was...
2022.
Yeah.
It was like
at the start of this journey.
Because I started recording this back in recording our journey, not recording this. You know what I mean? In October of 2022. So it must have been that Thanksgiving that we watched it. Thankskilling. And I almost wanted you to turn it off. It was the first movie we had watched that I was like, this is so bad.
Well, I do know it has quite a cult following, I think. And then after Thankskilling is Thankskilling 3, which is the sequel.
Hold on a second, because so Thankskilling came out in 2008, Thankskilling 3 in 2012, and Thankskilling the musical 2013, which there's a turkey. That is definitely based on the film. I didn't know there was a musical.
There you go.
Where are we watching that tonight?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And then, of course, there was the movie that came out a couple of years ago, directed by Eli Roth, Thanksgiving,
Yes.
which is pretty awesome. Kind of a Scream-esque slasher based on the fictitious trailer that he did for the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez Grindhouse movies. It was like a 1 or 2 minute trailer. And that was back in, I don't know, 2007. I'm kind of guessing. Don't fact check me. I can look it up later. But it might have been even earlier than that. I think it was earlier than that. Maybe 2003. Can you look it up?
Grindhouse?
Yeah.
It had to be later than that because 2007 was correct. Grindhouse and Planet Terror, 2007.
Well, Death Proof and Planet Terror were the 2 movies that made up Grindhouse.
Oh, I see. Okay. They listed it that way. Yes.
And so for a long time, everybody was like, we want to see that movie that there's the fake trailer for. And finally, in what year? Was it 2023? It was brought to life, brought to the big screen by Mr. Roth himself, which was a pretty fun ride. I like that movie.
I liked it too. I was just re-looking at it. And I remember seeing that Milo Manheim is in that movie. And we, of course, know him from the Disney Zombies movies. It was pretty funny to see one of our kids' favorite musical stars in an Eli Roth murder movie.
Murder movie. That's pretty much all I can think of. That, and if I'm missing anything major, let me know in the comments what Thanksgiving horror movies you enjoy, or Thanksgiving adjacent. I'm sure that there are plenty of Thanksgiving adjacent horror movies, but
there's only like 2 more that pop up with a quick search. One is called Pilgrim.
Oh yeah, that's one of those Hulu Into the Dark.
Yeah, produced by
movies.
Blumhouse. And then The Last Thanksgiving is a comedy horror film from 2020.
I think it's Blumhouse, not to be that guy.
Hold on a second. I thought it was Blumhouse, but I remembered I always say it wrong and you correct me every time. So I said Blumhouse.
I think it's Blumhouse. Jason Blum.
That makes more sense to me, but I would never say it Blumhouse without purposefully doing it because that doesn't make sense to me, the way that words work. But, well, we can find out pretty soon. Anyway, The Last Thanksgiving is not a Blumhouse movie, and I don't know anything much more about it. I'm going to find out how to say that word, though.
I do think I know that Eli Roth was going to make a sequel to Thanksgiving because it was so successful. And I actually thought it was supposed to come out around Thanksgiving of 2024, like 1 year later, but it has yet to come out. But I do believe it's in pre-production, so that'll be cool. It's nice having some modern slashers to grab onto.
Yeah, I thought Thanksgiving was a really great entry to the recent slasher. I don't know if there's enough of them to call it a renaissance, but like there's some good slasher and slasher inspired movies that we've seen that have come out in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and Thanksgiving, like I said, very reminiscent of Scream, but with a bit more of the Eli Roth edge on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But not as much of an edge as like the Terrifier movies.
No, not that much, which is fine.
And I think we decided 1980 was a really interesting year for horror movies in general. Obviously, it's sort of the bridge between sort of 70s adult horror, like we talked about, how horror movies were really geared more towards adults.
I.e. The Omen and The Exorcist and...
Well, even like Giallo movies.
Oh, yeah.
Or Brian De Palma films like Carrie. Carrie's closer because obviously it centers around high school kids, but the vibe of it's a little bit more elevated, I guess, than sort of what transpired in the 80s in horror. And when you look at the list of movies from 1980, there's certainly a lot of notable films that we've seen. First one I'm going to mention is the first movie in Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy, Which it's funny that it's called a trilogy because it's a trilogy due to the movie's themes, but not necessarily, there's no actual, you can watch the second movie or the third movie not having seen the previous films and be like, who are these characters? There are some actors that carry over, but there's no continuity of any storyline or character line. Like,
well, you're right. So far, I don't know what you're talking about.
And it's called City of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Which we watched a while back. The one that you probably remember better of that Gates of Hell trilogy is The Beyond, which is that movie takes place in New Orleans.
The woman basement, right?
Yeah, the woman inherits like a bed and breakfast, an inn, hotel sort of place. And she runs into like a blind lady who tries to educate her that the hotel that she has inherited sits upon one of the gates of hell and is a portal to hell. But the first movie, City of the Living Dead, also has to do with the gates of hell, and it has to do with, it kind of opens with like a hanging death of a priest in like a cemetery, and then there's an investigation and then blah, blah, blah. But I love Lucio Fulci movies. They're not all the greatest, but they've got a certain je ne sais quoi.
They do tend to run together in my memory. So you're right, I do remember The Beyond. I vaguely remember this one, City of the Living Dead, but I would have to rewatch.
Well, that's not a problem. We can do that anytime. What's another awesome movie from 1980?
There are quite a few, aren't there? I'm trying to decide whether to go with kind of more well-known or, you know what? I think I'm going to go with one that is known, a little more notorious. Cannibal Holocaust came out in 1980. And that is a movie that I first saw. I rented it from Netflix when Netflix sent DVDs to your house. It would have been, I remember the town I was living in. So it was 2006, maybe, when I first saw it. And Cannibal Holocaust is notorious for, first of all, some pretty major animal cruelty during the course of filming. So we have to kind of remember that before we recommend that anybody watch it. Also, it was so graphic that I think, I'm doing this by memory here, I didn't look this up, but it was some sort of board in Europe forced the director to bring the actors to show that they actually had not been killed, that it was so realistic, right? Am I remembering that right?
It sounds accurate. Yeah, I think even... maybe we'll get there someday. We can do a deep dive on it, but that'll be way down the road. But I do think that the director was even brought to trial, maybe something along those lines, and had to offer proof of life of the actors in some way.
Right. So there's some sensational stuff about that movie. Also, it's a pretty intense watch if you haven't seen it. It's not for everybody. But what I remember, it did what a lot of my favorite horror movies do, which is at the end of it, realized it was not just about the gore and the shock value, but actually had a really deep message. And this is a bit of a found footage film, kind of. Parts of it are. But before that was a thing. And there's a lot of reflection, if I remember correctly, on kind of what it is to observe and to be observed. There's a group of journalists that goes into the jungle and films a tribe. And so a lot of stuff in terms of kind of colonizers and the colonized. And it was just some really interesting insight into, especially looking now in the days of reality TV, well, past the days of reality TV and into the days of social media where we see people's lives all the time. We see parts of the world that we haven't seen. But in 1980, you didn't have a lot of options to see what was going on with an isolated Amazonian tribe. And so what happens when this young film crew goes in, I mean, it's called Cannibal Holocaust. You can guess some bad stuff happens. But I just remember it striking me really deeply I was 25, I guess, when I saw this for the first time. Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust.
And it was directed by Ruggero Deodato, an Italian filmmaker. But it was funny when you said it kind of is a found footage film in some ways, not like the way we necessarily think of it now. It was kind of more like a mockumentary found footage.
Yeah.
And also the aspect that there was curiosity or concern, I should say, around the well-being of the people in the movie. It kind of was almost like Blair Witch before Blair Witch in that sense. I mean, it's not a group of researchers venturing out into the woods looking for, doing research on this fable, myth.
Yeah, probably myth.
With Blair Witch, they were trying to, they promoted it as if the people in the movie had come to harm, and they basically hid those actors during the time of the promotion to make it seem like the Blair Witch Project was a real deal thing. I was like maybe a senior in high school when that came out. I remember, everybody was talking about it and just wondering if it was real or not.
Yeah, I remember seeing a poster for Blair Witch I was in college when it came out. So in one of the classrooms, there had been a few posters put up around the edges of the classroom. And it's wild to remember that time and kind of how you couldn't find answers to things so easily. We've all become pretty accustomed to finding the answer to questions really quickly these days. And yeah, Cannibal Holocaust tapped into that for sure in a very different way, and be interesting to compare the two. But also awful filming, treated the people horribly and the animals horribly, and it's a super exploitative film. So it's a little grimy. Fair warning.
And when it comes to Ruggero Deodato, I will just say I recently watched another movie he directed called Body Count, and it's a much more standard kind of slasher film. It was released in 1986. It is not rated highly, but if you are a slasher fan, especially like an 80s slasher fan, it is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, despite the fact that it's like a 4.8 on IMDb out of 10. I don't know if I rated it much higher in terms of quality of film, but in terms of fun, lots of it. Lots of it.
I've just added it to my watch list.
Yeah, we should watch it. I want to see it again anyway. All right. Another movie we watched fairly recently was Prom Night that came out in 1980.
Yeah.
Speaking of 1980s slashers, obviously this has Jamie Lee Curtis 2 years after her success with Halloween. And obviously she became quite, a lot of people consider her the original Scream Queen, that sort of thing. Maybe not the original, but one of the OGs. Not only did she have Prom Night come out in 1980, but she was also in Terror Train in 1980. I think it's fair to say Terror Train is the more entertaining out of those two films.
Agreed. Yes, I enjoyed both, but I prefer Terror Train of the two.
Yeah.
The Terror Train had magic.
Terror Train was just off the wall.
It was great. I loved Terror Train. That was a good one.
Prom Night was a little more standard and I think suffered some pacing issues, though I do think I enjoyed it more. I had watched it one other time before we watched it. I think I enjoyed it more on the second watch. But if you have to pick between the two, if you're having a 1980 movies night and you've got Prom Night and Terror Train in your hands and you only have time for one, definitely go Terror Train. What's another movie from 1980?
Where did it go? Oh, another one I've really enjoyed that we've seen is Motel Hell.
Yes, speaking of ridiculous horror movies, that one is pretty ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous. Brother and sister run a motel. I don't know. I don't want to go too far.
Yeah, we're definitely not doing any spoilers on these.
Some pretty great kills, some scenes. It's got very funny, definitely on the funnier, wackier, zanier side. It is on my deep cut genre faves list on Letterboxd, where you can find me, Chill Out Barbara, if you want to see my list and all the other movies on that list. But it is one of my fun ones. And there's another one. I think we watched Motel Hell and Mother's Day close to each other, right?
Yeah.
Sorry if that was what you were about to say.
No.
Because that also came out in 1980.
And like we mentioned, Mother's Day was filmed right across the lake from Friday the 13th. And
Exactly.
from what I understand, they had a shared cast party and all of that. Again, I think between Mother's Day and Motel Hell, I would go Mother's Day. I think it's a little bit of a better film, but if you're just looking for zaniness, then Motel Hell is certainly the way to go.
Oh yeah, it's a fun one. I would like to watch that again too. There's so many. This is the problem when you find movies that you like and you want to watch them multiple times, but there's also so many movies you haven't seen yet. How do you choose? How do we choose, Johnny?
Do you remember Humanoids from the Deep? That was 1980.
Yes, I do. Actually, surprised that I do. Yes, Humanoids from the Deep.
I think there was... Did we watch The Last Drive-In?
I think we did. Yeah, that was
version of that with Joe Bob and Darcy.
Yep.
1980. Humanoids from the Deep. That was directed by Barbara Peters and Jimmy T. Murakami. I wish I remembered more of what we learned from Joe Bob, but...
Yeah, that's tough sometimes to kind of get all that information in there. But it was... I bet we could rewatch it.
And it's a trim hour and 20 minutes, which is about as much as you need. It's just got a great vibe to it as well. And I think it was a Roger Corman production.
I think you're right.
Produced by Roger Corman. Yep. So that gives you an idea what you're dealing with. Low budget, but squeezing the most out of every penny.
Zombie Holocaust also came out in 1980.
Oh, yeah, we watched that pretty recently as well.
We did. Zombie Holocaust, not to be confused with Cannibal Holocaust. It's also called, what is it, Dr. Butcher? Yeah, Dr. Butcher, MD.
Yeah, with Ian McCulloch.
Ian McCulloch. That's another fun one. Wacky, wild, Jalo feel, right? Except it was less of a Jalo than a lot of Jalos. Does that make sense? The setting was quite different.
Yes, I mean, it's because it is getting towards the end of the Jalo Renaissance and getting into the 80s. But I would still, I don't know, I would still put it in that camp, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple big movies that came out. The Shining and The Fog also came out in 1980.
Yes, I would certainly, I'm not sure I would put those movies together as top movies.
Maybe not big in my mind, like John Carpenter, Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
Like that's more what I was thinking, kind of epic ones that should be part of your shelf of horror if you have one.
And they're both on my shelf. But obviously Carpenter's a little bit more gritty.
Yes.
And The Shining is certainly quite elevated and has spawned limitless research into its making.
Yeah, and The Shining kind of has a lot of that 70s vibe that we were talking about, that you were talking about in terms of kind of adult horror, whereas The Fog has got a little more of that gritty, maybe a bit more appealing to the Utes.
The Utes. The Shining is like a masterpiece from one of the top directors of all time. And John Carpenter is top director at what he does. And I would say that The Fog is a lot more fun ride. If you're looking for fun, go with The Fog. If you're looking for like a cinematic masterpiece, then go with The Shining. But if you're listening to this, you've probably seen both of these films. You know what we're talking about. But quite a year for horror. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, there's more that we didn't get to, but that pretty cool. And neither of us was born yet.
Yep.
I was close.
But that's a good jumping off point. If you like movies from this time period or you're interested in checking it out, give some of those a looky-loo.
A looky-loo. Do we have to spin any wheels today?
We don't.
We don't have to spin. Oh, because we're not replacing anything on the Wheel of Horror.
Right.
Right.
I'll double check.
I don't think we are. So usually on our Encore episode, we spin the backup wheel, right? And the feeder wheel, which feeds into our main Wheel of Horror, which has 13 movies plus the sequel to pick our next movie. But since we are entering the Christmas season so soon, I'm sure, I mean, it's Christmas season in the stores already.
Oh, yeah. They've been blasting Mariah Carey for weeks now.
Yeah. So we are selecting our movies for the next two
which we
deep dives.
We talked about last episode.
Yeah.
So next week, gear up because we're doing Black Christmas.
Oh, so excited.
But before we wrap this up, we've got a demo to play.
Yes, very excited.
So let's roll into that.
Let's do it.
Here's the demo.
You can run, you can hide, try anything you like. It's gonna getcha, 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 getcha. Like a thief in the night, it's gonna take your life. It's gonna getcha, 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 getcha. Silent, deadly, slicing it. Long and narrow, feather tail. Lots of things kill without fail, but nothing's gonna getcha like an arrow. One in the eye, another in the neck. It's gonna getcha, 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 getcha. One in the gut and another to the junk. It's gonna getcha, 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 getcha. Silent, deadly, slicing it. Long and narrow, feather tail. Lots of things kill without fail, but nothing's gonna getcha like an arrow. Hunting for humans doesn't seem too hard. It's gonna getcha, 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 getcha. As a method for killing, it's been hard for years. It's gonna getcha, 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 getcha. Silent, deadly, slicing it. Long and narrow, feather tail. Lots of things kill without fail, but nothing's gonna getcha. No, nothing's gonna getcha. No, nothing's gonna getcha. Nothing's gonna getcha like an
All right. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to Christmas season, Black Christmas. And then a couple weeks after that, we're doing Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes.
Where can people find us on the socials real quick?
You can find us on the socials at OMNLD Pod. And that's on all the socials that you can think of. And hey, if you haven't, why don't you send this episode or any episode you like to someone you know who likes horror movies? Because we want to get this to people. And you can either share it in your feed and add to the algorithm, or just send the episode to someone you think might appreciate our take on movies and the addition of music.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And if you're listening to this the day before Thanksgiving, have a very happy one.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.